Page 8, Minuet and Trio in classical style, whatever. See, you got two parts to this. You got a minuet here on page 8, and if you look over on page 9, there's a trio. Minuet and trio, duh. It's similar to the fanfare and canon we just had. As you got two sections of this piece, but when you play them as one. You can learn them separately, but you play them as one. At the beginning, this is a 3/4 time. It's a minuet. Minuets are in 3/4 time. You're starting out here in the right hand. Let's just figure this out. And you have a pickup beat, so we're coming in on beat 3. So it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Make sure you get all these notes in the right hand figured out. Make sure you can play them over on the trio there. Next page, again, it's beat 3. Well, beats 1 and 2 at the end of the first line, or the previous line, second line, some line up there. I don't know where that. But for the trio, it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Isn't this fun? Oh boy. For the left hand, let's look back here. On the minuet, you have an E and a G. We're in this position here, and then a D. So they're different. At least the G's the same. Next line is okay. For the trio, it's C and a G, and then an F and a G, and hopefully you can figure out these notes. I'm hoping you should know the names of these notes. If you don't, you need to really drill it, or go back and start the method book again and go through. Take your time. Put the hands together. We're here. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Then go over to the trio. So work it out. You don't have to go that fast. However fast you got to go. If you're hesitating anywhere, work on those spots and get rid of the hesitation. So the whole thing flows from start to finish at however fast you're going. And we can go back and we add the articulation. That's the slurs and the staccato stuff. And these are nice. The first note's not staccato, but the others are. So just nice light at the wrist hinge here. Well, that's not staccato. You only play them this if they got the dots. Otherwise you play them full length. Now, what I would like you to do is on the second line there, for the right hand, you see the slurs under there to connect them? I'd like you to take a pencil and draw that slur out further, and then at the end of the first line, draw that slur under that C. I want to connect the C at the end of the first line to the second line. Connect them. That's really where it starts. It's a pickup to it. Connect those. Otherwise, you'd lift up between it. Don't. Connect the C, the last note in the first line, with the first note in the second line in the right hand. Left hand has a rest, doesn't matter. And now lift up. Now here you're holding the G down while you... At the end of the first line on page 9, connect that C to the next line. Connect those notes. Like so. Now in the trio, here, in the last measure there, the first line, you're going to connect the right hand. But the left hand you're going to lift up. That's a chord, you can lift up. And then you're going to lift up the right hand before you play the G, but the left hand just connected. See, you're connecting this, but you're lifting this up. And that slur there at the end of that line, that's what I'm trying to get you to draw on these other lines. I want to connect that note to the next note. Like that. So put in doing these slurs and staccatos, it's really kind of important, especially as the music gets more difficult. We really need to be doing this. And they can be different in the hands, as you can see there on the end of that third line on page 9. They're different here. Well, once you've got a handle on the articulation, then maybe we can add the dynamics. It says moderately loud at the beginning. That's the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. Now we're soft all of a sudden. That's the right hand. The left hand has to be very soft. Now we're loud again. That's the right hand. The left hand can come up to about moderately loud. You're there until the end of the first line on page 9. Now all of a sudden you're soft. And the left hand's very soft. Now when you do the trio, there's an F-P. Oh, isn't this cool? Well, if you look at the end of the trio, you see a repeat sign. That means you're going to repeat the trio. See, a repeat sign, you think, well, it means go back to the beginning and start again. Well, the beginning is at the beginning of the minuet. Now, when you have sections like this, usually you go to the section. So here, you're going to repeat back to the start of the trio, not the minuet. And so there's a difference there. So the first time you play the trio, you're going to play it forte or loud. Right hand. Keep the left hand low. When you repeat it, then you're going to play the trio soft in the right hand. The left hand's very soft. So, and that's what that means. There is a note at the top of the trio there. Right hand 1 octave higher second time. Oh, goody. Means when you repeat the trio, you're here. It simply means the right hand, not the left, just the right hand goes up here and you play it up here. The left hand stays where it's at. That means you got to move that right hand. You got to be ready for it because you're here. So just move up. You lift up and move up. Here. Then when you've done with that the second time, you go back to the beginning of the minuet. The right hand has to come back down here. So the right hand is moving around a little bit. So you just lift up and move. Gentle piece. Okay. It's almost like two separate pieces of music, but it's really one big piece of music where two are glued together to make one type thing. Now speed-wise, well, the minuet, well, you can have different speeds on minuets. This says moderately fast, so whatever that is to you, but accuracy is more important. So yeah, it may take you some time to get it up to moderately fast. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's my impression of moderately fast. You might be a little slower than that. It doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you. It's a personal thing, but accuracy is important there. I would like to play this with you very, very slowly. You go ahead and learn it. Get it to where you can play it through. No hesitations or anything. And then come back and let's check the notes and the rhythms. Now, I'm not going to do the dynamics, just the notes and the rhythms. But we are going to do the DC at the bottom of the trio. You see the DC, minuet, all fine. DC means go back to the beginning. And minuet, they said of the minuet. They really didn't need minuet in there. If you did a DC on something, you go back to the beginning. I mean the beginning, yeah, type thing. Oh, well, sort of. Just go back to the beginning. And then all fine is at the end of the second line on page 9, where the thin and thick bar line is. Yeah. And we are going to repeat the trio, just like it's written, so let's try it together slowly. Since we come in on beat 3, I'm only going to give us 2 counts, so be ready. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, go on to the trio.